to. Perfect. So I will start by sharing some slides and to share as well what we are doing today. So today we have, first of all, welcome to FEM.GREEN. We are trying to empower just transitions in cities. And we have two main topics today that we want to explore and dig deeper with everybody. It's about inclusive public spaces and urban green infrastructure and sustainable mobility and mobility of care. And we thought of some points that we think it's intersecting both the feminist and green agendas, but we are so much looking forward to co-creating and envisioning multiple other layers with everybody here, with our FEM.GREEN community. Um, we will start with, brief introductions, knowing who is tuning in from where and the background, so we can know each other more. And as I mentioned, we will be like framing what we are looking forward to discuss today, but of course, a lot more of co-creative aspects. And then we will be in two teams randomly to brainstorm our ideas and to, as I mentioned, dig deeper about the practices, methods, etc. And we will be back again to discuss and summarize the connectedness and synthesis of every intersecting topics. And of course, always open to more collaborative discussion. So when we asked like what you're expecting from FEM.GREEN community and from our working group, I think most answered various questions, various answers. Thank you for this. But we believe that this is an opportunity for learning together and to explore feminist urbanism through sustainability and how to build sustainable cities with no one left behind, and to have this gender perspective within sustainable practices. And of course, connecting with similar-minded people that hopefully we build collaboratives and collectives for future collaboration, and to always be inspired by these tremendous, and I believe, people from all parts of the world to discuss and to understand diverse perspectives about these topics that obviously we are all interested in. And we are looking forward to create impact. And if you know, from the first session that we're looking forward as well to test these tools and methodologies with the FEM.GREEN toolkit that will be implemented as well locally in Valencia. So it's like a growing and advocating movement towards feminist and green cities that we believe is our main impact through this project. So now with Julia, we want to break the ice, know where everybody's from, what are the sectors and industries you're working on. So yeah, Julia.
Yeah, so thank you, Nurhan. Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining. Nurhan, can you just stop sharing your screen?
Oh, yeah. Sorry about
Yeah,
that.
great. Yeah, so I can see faces. So, so one of the expected kind of outcomes that people, or you or girls mostly, because I can just say girls on the screen, expect for joining the working group was to meet more people and, as Nurhan said, connect with people who is interested in similar topics. And even though we are like around 42 right now, so and it's going to be like a lot of time just to introduce each of us, we thought would be like kind of nice and fun to break the ice, just to, if everyone, so I'm just going to do like this small methodology where everyone who wants, obviously wants to switch on the camera. So first step, switch on your cameras, please, if it's possible, obviously. So we're gonna, in order, because when we receive all the questions for joining the group, there's a people from all over the world, and as we explained in the introduction session, we think it's important to acknowledge that depending on which context we are, the practices and the tools will be different and needs to be kind of rooted on where we belong, but also the kind of work sector that we are. So what we're going to do is like people who is based in Europe, you can keep the camera. People who is not from Europe or based in Europe right now, switch off your camera so we can see what happens with our faces. Okay, so mostly Europe right now. Great. And now people who is from Europe, switch off your camera. People who is joining from Latin America, switch on the camera. Una, dos, tres. Yoo-hoo! So nice, because if I kept my English bad, I will be like just speaking Spanish. So hi girls, thank you for joining. Now people who is from North America, so girls, switch off the camera. We have one from North America, so hi. People who are joining from Asia. Do we have? Ooh, one Asia, two Asia, three Asia. Wow, 4, 5. So such an international and all worldwide community. And last thing, but not less, if there's anyone joining from Africa. Ooh, one also. Wow. So yeah, you will see girls. Most I think we are all women. So so there's no men in the room, or at least if anyone recognize himself, it's also good. There's one.
Yeah.
Like Roman.
Yeah, Roma. It's Roma, but he's like always pointed out
Yeah. Say
male.
hi to the crew.
So we're gonna like, okay.
So big applause for him.
We're not pointing out anyone. And of course, you're always welcome, all genders and
Yeah, obviously.
all diverse genders. So it's not only he, him, she, her, but everybody's welcomed into our discussions. Yeah.
Yeah, and now we're gonna do the same with the work sector to understand where we work, or where our approach to the topics are from. So people who are joining from academia, switch on the cameras. So maybe studying, but also working, PhD students, teachers, professors. So hi everyone. Good. People, I don't know, we have some of government staff, so people who's working on public sector. 2, 3. Good. And one from each continent, so that's really, really, really nice. Also, people who's joining from social movements or community groups, so people more related, not professionally, with the topics. Yeah. Good, 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 good. Yeah, we can go deeper afterwards where actually you come from. Good. And last but not least, people who's professionally, like private sector, consultant, working on companies, studios. I know. Yeah. Yeah, so it's like you like this small play joke, whatever. It's all of it's to share also like how diverse the points of view will be during the discussions, and we think it's important also to acknowledge that maybe later on when we split in the separate groups, we can introduce a little bit more about ourselves. But yeah, for now, Nurhan, the floor is yours.
Wow. Okay. So I will be sharing my screen again. Yeah, yeah, me and technology. Am I sharing my screen? Not yet, no?
Not
Okay.
yet.
Mhm. Yeah, back here. So, thank you, Julia. It's amazing to see this international crowd. So we believe, like as we mentioned, this is like only framing the discussion, what the two key elements and key objectives we will be working on today. It's inclusive public spaces and urban green infrastructure, and the mobility, sustainable mobility and mobility of care. So we believe, and we would like to explore more and dig deeper in the intersection between gender, public space, green infrastructure, mobility and mobility of care, transits, etc., and how all of this intertwine together and align with the feminist perspective and sustainable perspective in building cities. As I mentioned, the first topic will be inclusive public spaces and urban green infrastructure. So we think that we want to dig deeper into gender responsive design. What are strategies, methods, initiatives, of course, like guidelines or best practices that have already proven to incorporate diverse gender perspectives into design. So, and connecting it with climate responsive design. So as well, how cities worked with climate responsive design to promote climate change and mitigation. Who are these stakeholders? What are these cities? If it's like a grassroots level or a more policy level, we would want to explore that. So what do we know? We've gathered some data like how cities are actually shifting towards maybe more caring modalities like the care blocks in Bogota. And this happened like 4 years ago when they started analyzing that 70% of the women and the full-time caregivers didn't even pursue beyond primary school. And many of these women lacked economic autonomy, more than 90% of them, and as well the health issues. So 21% have been diagnosed with untreated chronic illnesses and no time to even get checked. So this is where the care blocks on a policy level, and this is the amazing aspect, and that the policies have been implementing these care blocks in order to care for the caregivers and to like provide them with education, healthcare, and to even transportation buses that are sustainable or environmental friendly methods to for women and carers to navigate and to travel between the care blocks and the caring activities, providing nurseries and preschools for the carers. So this is like when we like dig deeper into this example, it's on policy level. It is the Bogota government. So they have been as well addressing climate issues due to like lowering public transportation, delivering some social and climate sensitive solutions. So in terms of this example, we can definitely analyze the guidelines or what enabled Bogota to come up with this prototype. And I always say this as well: the adoption of the policies. It's always the political will and how the government actually adopted this, and it's still going and running, and they're developing more of these care blocks. As we can see, like the routes and the mobility to and from it. So this is a bit like the intersection of care and caring activities that carers need to do with mobility and providing transportation. So we believe as well participatory planning and having women and marginalized groups within participation models can help inform policies and change towards the needs and preferences of these communities. We know the green infrastructure and how green infrastructure can intersect with the climate change, definitely, but how it can provide as well gender equity. And looking at this, we're gonna dig deeper as well into the examples of like certain green corridors or something like the Subarillas in Barcelona, or advocacy for safer parks and urban parks, and how this can as well intersect with urban health, climate change, and biophilia, and equity, and where gender stands from all of these topics that has long as well been studied, like nature-based solution, etc. But what are and how they can help with the case of equity and gender. So what do we know as well? This very interesting. I tried to translate from Catalan about greening plans and representation of green into the city with a gender sensitive approach to urban green spaces, and how we can have urban green spaces very much intersecting with gender, women and girls needs, and how we can like when building these green corridors, etc., having women and girls communities part of this. And this policy brief seeks to guide local policymakers. And this is what we are discussing and aiming for, to provide some tools and analysis and guidelines within different levels, from policy and legislation, but also grassroots and people who are working in the social movements. And this is like again, that's the same report comparing plans, green plans, and how it shifted in Paris, Berlin, London, Montreal, and New York, and with the explicit focus on social justice and green perspective and gender perspective. So it's amazing, and we're gonna of course share all resources, but co-created later on, so we can dig deeper about the analysis tools and what has been already done in this field. Many of us know about the Safer Parks project in Leeds, and how they are having these different viewpoints from teen girls, but as well families and carers, and how to design parks and recreational spaces that are green, but as well fostering inclusivity. Because like we all know that we love parks, but at a certain time of the day or at certain places that are not really visible, it's so hard to be and enjoy being in the green spaces. So this is as well aspect we want to analyze and explore more. And we have the topic two, the other topic we are investigating about sustainable mobility and mobility of care. And this very much intersects with climate change and how actually active uses of travel and intersects with care-based travel patterns, and how to recognize the needs of carers. And we know that women tend to do the care work, so it's women into transport planning, and how mobility transits can be intimidating for most of us and many times, and how this as well pushes people to use their cars or cabs, and as well intersecting with climate change, not using active travel or public transportation or sustainable modes of transportation. So, and even cycling and public transport, many studies, and even in the Gender City, we have many cyclists reported that they're not cycling at certain hours, and some parts of the infrastructure, and how this can be interlinked with gender, active transportation, and obviously climate. Um, and of course, policies, and how the development of policies and even the 15-minute cities and proximities intersects with gender, and ensuring that women voices and carers are heard. So these are the like the subtitles, but of course, as we mentioned, we are so much open to knowing and co-creating some other factors we believe it intersects with the feminist and green agendas. And this is like the accessibility as well for marginalized and disabilities. So it's we know that it's very intersectional horizontally, but as well very intersectional as well vertically, and many cross-cutting fields. So yeah, this is like some of the issues. We know that women feel unsafe walking home from a bus at night, the whole night buses on transits and transit stops, and how women and carers or marginalized groups can shift away to using vehicles and private vehicles. And some of the case studies that actually proved working, like the Montreal bus system of the between stops. So at night it has no fixed stops, but like the call on stops. So the last mile issue can be solved, or when people feel like alone in a bus with a man that is maybe like some fear can come up with this, so they can just request a stop. So like these and I know in Strasbourg as well, we have known that this pilot project has been run for some time, and unfortunately it stopped. But like the whole transit system, and the whole the miles, and the last mile and the first mile, and all of this intersecting with the climate change. And of course, like we know, and as we mentioned, we're gonna share a lot of these resources, but from the European Mobility Atlas, we know that only 22% of all employees in the transport sectors are female, and this is like what initiating always the issue. It's the needs and representation into these fields that are really lacking, is what reached to a point that women are left out from cities. So we're gonna like discuss more, of course, the intermodalities and trip chaining and the combination of trips women have to do and how it's not planned into transportation systems. And again, from the atlas, what we know about data to increase walkability in the city strategies. So as I mentioned, it's very much as well different levels. So we are hoping to share and to know and to co-create some examples from the policy making, the top down, but as well the bottom up, and what's in the in between, all the middle sectors. So I mean, like, we don't want to like just talk for too long, and because we believe that these sessions are basically for co-creation, and we want to co-create together many aspects of the interlinkage between these two main topics: the inclusive public spaces and urban green infrastructure, sustainable mobility, and mobility of care together. So we're gonna be split into two groups randomly, as I mentioned, and each group in a breakout room within a shared Miro board. We can share it in the chat now. So each one can join within the Miro board. And each breakout room, we will have like 3 stages. It will be for 30 minutes. We're gonna have like an individual reflection, so more to know each one of us like journey towards feminist and green agendas, and an initial discussion as well, and reflection about how to identify these intersecting agendas and intersecting elements, especially in these two topics. And hopefully we can refine this conversation with more dig deeper and in-depth analysis on data, facts, best practices, and key ideas. So, and afterwards, we're gonna, don't feel left out, because we're gonna come up all here again to share what we think in general in the two topics and what we have been discussing within the working groups. I mean, we have a raised hand, but do we have time for...
Yeah, obviously. Ask the question.
Okay.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Arlinda. I have a question. What's the focus? Do we focus on policies, solutions? Because we heard in the presentation a mix of policies, solutions, focus areas, data, strategies. So what is our focus today? Or is it everything, a bit of everything, or we have a
I
focus?
I can share the Miro board. If not, Nurhan, if you
Yeah,
want.
but I can do it like in
Yeah,
the
I'll go for it. Yeah.
share. I will just share that we basically because this is why the breakout through session will have like some stages. So basically, at first, we gonna like you're gonna write what you think is intersecting between climate and feminist agenda within perhaps like the gender sensitive design and urban green infrastructure. So these are the key ideas, and then we're gonna shift into the practices and tools people are working with, you're working with, or you have heard of that maybe can be used, and then identify who are the stakeholders in cities to apply these, who are applying these practices or can use it to apply these tools. Um, so hopefully this is how we come up with guidelines and good practices. So this is like the in-depth. But please, Julie, if you want to share the Miro board as well, because it has the different sections as well
If not,
divided. So in yeah.
yeah, if not, we can split the rooms and explain it for each separate group if you want, so everyone can make questions whenever we are there already.
As you
Yeah.
wish.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make it clear. Key ideas, it means everything. Whatever we think that is complementary between these two.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so we are going to have like more a general discussion to set up the framework. So what's important when we think on either public space, green infrastructure, either mobility regarding both agendas. So more to know each other and understand what's going on our minds. And after that, like go as deeper into like more concrete proposals. Does it make
Okay.
sense? Yeah. Good.
Yes. Just wanted to make it clear.
Super.
Perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah.
Are we jumping in the breakout rooms? I
Yeah.
think so.
Cool. If we wanna promote proximity uses are important, not just the way we move, but also all the infrastructure and uses that are around. That mobility patterns are important in order to ensure that we are able to promote those more active movements. Obviously, as you will imagine, safety was one of our key points of discussing, and how do we promote more safety mobility options for everyone. Also, we talk about affordability and access, and how do we promote that. There was a lot of ideas going on around how we do that. So protocols, data, tools, participation, governance, and how do we this actual design. So, and like I would say, like, how's the work done, not just the solution, but also the process. It's important. And there were also ideas about, like, it was like more a question. So how do we design resilient transport infrastructures? So how are going to be like the infrastructures for the future regarding to climate change and the things that are already going to happen? Yeah, I don't know. There was a, obviously, like, because it wasn't also in the title, but understanding that care patterns and care mobility should be acknowledged and put it in the center, but also reshifting the narrative and understanding that it's not taking out the space for the cars, for instance, but putting the persons in the center or something like that. So also, how do we communicate and advocate for the transformation that needs to be done in a more positive, human-centered approach? And yeah, that would be my general kind of, in 2 minutes, sum it up. But yeah, as I said, we will arrange the post-its and send it back to everyone with a more structured, lecture.
Yeah, I mean, every time we come up like with more questions and more areas to research, because I think basically we have the same issues. So in I will sum up really quick what we have been exploring through infrastructure and green infrastructure. So there was a lot about the green corridors and the scenes, and how as well women tend maybe to take the more scenic route, but again with safety and security, whether this is possible or not. So this is always the dilemma of recreational areas and green infrastructure, and in the enjoyment of cities and gender. So we want more environmental design, but at the same time, how to make it safe and accessible. So of course, this as well raised a lot of the caring facilities and how to include caring infrastructure, breastfeeding units, like the Superlas in Barcelona, and we always like use this example in Spain, like breastfeeding publicly, and how to improve infrastructure as toilets and all the caring facilities for the enjoyment of the green infrastructure and being in the environment and being like in the green spaces. So we explored as well, very interesting, like the use of the green technologies and green techs, and how it can endorse safety and security, or how it can be used with a gender sensitive perspective. So one of the key issues we raised are the food resiliency, and how to use the city or communal gardens that we know that are usually mostly cared for by women, and how to this the whole food security and food resiliency can be built from the communal garden, and like endorsing more community gardens, and like growing your crops and all of this sustainable behaviors, and that we know as well women tend to adopt more. We don't have mostly any men, so we are we are giving credit to ourselves always. But I mean, a lot as well about participatory budgets, and what are the issues are actually like letting women not being an active participant in decision making, or like in these the white male dominated spaces about participation. So and I mean, I have to say that there's one thing that is really a debate within the biodiversity field. And thank you, Adele. I know I maybe she has left now, but the issue of biodiversity and light, and this is like a debate that is going on, how lighting at night can mess with the biodiversity and like night creatures, and how as well as women we tend to, and of course this is like very much debatable, like the amount of light, the direction of light, and whether we can like work along these elements. But there's always the debate of like safety and security and lighting and biodiversity, and especially at night. So we were as well discussing the crime prevention, environmental design, and how we can, and I know there is a gap in research between crime prevention, environmental design. It's usually researched on robberies and safety of crime and terrorism, etc., but not from a gender sensitive perspective, or like sexual harassment and gender-based violence in the built environment. So this is something as well. I have to say that we had a lot of like gaps in the research and analysis more than like answers, but we have and of course like the 24-hour activities and how this can endorse safety, enhance like endorse the enjoyment of the green spaces, and we have someone who has been researching intersection between green spaces and gender on bikes, like why women tend to take like the more scenic route or not, like these differences. Yves Robot, like mainly in Bordeaux. So we're gonna check out the work of him in this matter. And there is something that is called map of risks. We need to like as well organize everything. Basically, and we need to remind everyone that the whole week you can still add some concepts and ideas, like especially with the stakeholders and whoever you know that are concerned about these topics. And I know there is a feedback now attached in the chat, so please as well feel if like fill in the feedback, please. and uh, and then
Because if not, Julia's gonna be so sad. The other
yeah,
Julia's gonna be
exactly.
so sad.
This is important.
Yes.
And the water element. So we have to tackle like both green and blue, and what as well it entails the waterfront public spaces and the waterfront element within the environmental design, and from a gender perspective. So like water spaces. Yeah, and we shared some of the best practices we know. We hopefully would want you to share more, like make space for girls and safer street parks, and many other like stakeholders that are working on this. Yeah, and very important, the rural areas and their peripheries, and how like the concept of the 15-minute city and proximities can shift like from the centric city to a more like greener, like a safer, so the regenerative part of rural areas and the periphery. And we know that are usually highly dominated by women, by the like tend to be the urban poor, and like usually on the periphery of urban areas, and how these as well not be neglected from green and blue infrastructures. And yeah, and then biophilia and the sense of biophilia and gender, like the article Sex in the City Park. It was very interesting to know the differences and the biological differences of being in green spaces between genders, and how it's different as well with mental health and physical health, etc. So it's all very interconnected. I don't want to be like talking for too long, but yeah. So, I mean, we don't want to like stay any longer too. So we hope that this is that was inspiring for everybody today. And like next session, we're gonna explore two different topics in depth and like brainstorm as well and co-create. Uh, this is pretty much it, is it?
Yeah, just thank you for joining. As I said, we will send back all the mirror boards arranged, trying to have more clear understanding about the topics, and again, because we knew where like broad topics and there were going to be really a lot of interconnections. That's why we decided to have like our last session. So we will go back on the third session that is on the 6th of February to yeah. So again, having like this like more structure understanding of the ideas that we have collect through the two initial sessions, like more topic centered, and yeah, we'll have like that more interconnections and trying to understand what's really matters in both topics. Yeah.
Yeah, with a framework and hopefully some guidelines. Yeah, so I mean, and if you want like some improvements, fill the feedback form. And thank you so much for being here today and for sharing some of the practices you have been working on and your ideas on this. And I mean, see you next week. Yeah, so on the 22nd of January is in the email. And yeah, have a great week till then. Thank you all. Ciao.
Thank you.
Thank you.